And there it is. What's going on, Cowboys Nations? Thank you for tuning in to the Stargate Live show. It's your guy, Nix, Spoonie, and wait a minute, where my guy? Hold on, Spoon. Matto! There he is in the building. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing tonight?
I'm just living the dream out here. I'm so excited about training camp, and I have a nice, delicious beer tonight. We're going with a Pernicious IPA. I don't know if you can even see it. It's good. Awesome. Take my word for it.
There you go. Take Matt's word for it. Spoonie, back after your little trip, man. How's everything going for you, my brother?
Oh, everything's good. Everything's fine, man. Some nice cowboy action. We've been seeing a couple of days, and a position has been filled.
A position has been filled, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe depth, maybe some different, maybe a little competition. And let's go ahead and get into this. Go ahead and get on into it. Mr. Malik Hooker, ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys circle back around after a couple of practices, a couple of days out there in Oxnard, decided to say, hey, let's see how much healthier you are this round, go through some COVID protocols and whatnot, and see what's good. And he's officially a part of the team. The move they made was Mitch Hyatt. He went to IR. Unfortunately for Mitch, that could sign the end for him in Dallas, right? IR last year. He's been here for a few years. It just hasn't really came around for him. This could be something that we'll see where they just cut him a check and let him go on his way. But yes, Malik in the building. And as our guy Jock says, first round safety in the building. So we talked about the camp and different things. What do you think, guys? I'll start with you, Matt O. Malik Cook coming into the building. How do you feel about it?
Okay, so as much as I would love to go on right now, I'm going to defer my chance right now to Spoonie because I know he's been waiting for a safety for so long. So I'm going to defer, and then I'll go after you. So, Spoonie, the floor is yours. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, well, listen, I'll tell you this. I'm excited because I'm going off the potential of what Malik Hooker can bring to the table, of course, if healthy. His first 2 years, he was voted by PFF as top 5 safety in the league. Listen, I've been a big fan of him since Ohio State. First round pick. I mean, he has the size. He has the instincts. He could play both safety spots. He's very versatile. The problem is the injuries. And of course, if he plays 100% healthy, he could add. I mean, he could really be something in that secondary that we haven't had in a long time at that safety position. So that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, and real quick, just a couple shots. Mendoza's in the building. Joshua Parker's in the building. I got Richard Woodard, as always. Jock in the building. A big boss man with the Dallas Cowboys for life. Mr. Wright, Mr. Dwayne Wright's in the building as well, man. We appreciate y'all. Man, get the likes, get the shares up. And now back door to you, Matt, since Sweeney was a little calm.
I'm a bit surprised. I'm a bit surprised with that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. A lot of fans, if you go back in March, I was more on the KZ train. A lot of people were on the Hooker train. So now we have the best of both worlds. We have both in the building. Both of them are going to get a chance to compete. We may see them alongside of each other at different times. One may ultimately win out the role, and that's fine. But having depth at the safety position is something we haven't had in a long time. And I can confidently say right now, I'm pleased with the safety spot. Like, it's not a position that I have concern on right now. Now, of course, there's things to worry about with health and, how people play. But I'm excited to have guys like Donovan Wilson, Jaron Kearse, KZ, and Hooker, 4 guys that I feel relatively confident about at the safety position. Now it's all a matter of will they step up and who's going to be the top 2 and how much are we going to see safety 3 in the mix, and a lot to work through. But right now, July 27th, I'm good at the safety position for the first time in a long time. So we'll see. Knock on wood, a lot to play itself out. But right now, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and to backdoor here real quick. It's a 1-year deal, Richard. 1-year deal for Malik Hooker. And at this point, you're not really going to do too much. I know we did sign the former Jets cornerback. We gave him a 2-year deal, but Malik was always, to me, was going to be a 1-year deal. I haven't heard exactly how much it's for Mendoza. I just know it's a 1-year deal for sure is where they're at. Professor, you didn't hear anything money-wise. Brian.
Okay, you guys with this beer gang, man. You guys make me so jealous every time everybody else has it. But anyways, we only had about $5 million of cap space, and we didn't cut anybody. We just moved Mitch Hyatt to IR, so it has to be less than that. I don't know exactly what it was, but I would assume it's going to be probably 1 year, $2 million, something like that, and maybe have incentives and bonuses. But it's got to be less than $5 million. We didn't have more than that in cap space, and we didn't cut anyone. So
I think to me, now look at KZ's deal, right? 1.2. It's July 27th. Nobody signs you. Could be a vet minimum deal, right? Could be a vet minimum deal. But we'll wait for the financials to come out on there. But as Matto said, for sure, they'll see. Well, hey man, the beer gang, man. I mean, you just That's how I'm
gonna hit up Amazon and get one of those.
All right,
for the next video.
There was a time that you missed a time where Miss Mary Ella did come along and join Beard Game for an episode, which is pretty good stuff.
I'll have to go check that one out.
But with that being said, Malik Hooker's in the building. We're excited. I don't know, like tomorrow's in. He did some working out, but he wasn't really involved too much getting the deal done today. I don't anticipate him being in pads tomorrow. We'll see. Tomorrow padded practice. But let's get to the practice today. Man, the defense is taking some lumps early. Defense was stingy. Defense was very, very stingy today. Out of the gate, you just heard about different things. Diggs ends up with 2 interceptions, right? It had a great one early on. You heard about your guy KZ coming through with a big pick 6. A safety jumping a route and going. Good stuff to see. We've heard about Big Bo in the middle again. We've kind of heard this a little bit about Bo making some moves. Now, granted, we're not in the pads yet. The pads got to come on. We got to see. But man, the defense from everything that we were looking at today was very stingy. Matt O, what did you think? What were some of your takeaways from that?
Yeah, this is the training camp practice that all of us have been waiting for. We spent the entire offseason. Our free agency class was essentially all defensive players aside from like Inseki. We pretty much went defense, let's fix the defense. We got Dan Quinn. We brought in Joe Witt with him. We spent 8 of our draft picks on the defense. And then this was the first practice where we were like, okay, it's early, a lot to go. They don't even have pads on yet, but this is the first day where we're seeing it. We had not just one player, Diggs has been stellar all camp so far. It wasn't just Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Kennedy, a guy people forget he's even on the roster, came through with a huge pick. And I actually have that clip, so we'll show these at some point tonight. Diggs had 2 interceptions. KZ jumped a route. Bossman had multiple plays. We actually saw a play. I think they were practicing, from what it looks like, some type of Hail Mary situation, and Donovan Wilson had a pass breakup in the end zone. So, I mean, we saw quite a few guys out there. And then we got to see, for anybody who didn't get to check, Parsons on some A-gap blitzes.
Yes.
And it was exciting. So, yeah, today was the practice I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the thing about when it comes to Kelvin Joseph, right, he's just been steady. He's been steady and just kind of putting it together and doing things. I saw a couple things where it kind of worked like the little fade. He was just grabbing it up and not holding, getting rid of the hands. Saw a good clip of him and Al Harris working together as well. And going back to, and of course, one thing I really get mentioned a lot, and I caught this from Todd Archer from ESPN, Nahshon Wright re-aggravated an ankle injury. So after flashing early in camp, we haven't heard a lot, and maybe a little bit something with him. Nothing too serious. He just re-aggravated it. So the Cowboys early on the camp will be pretty, safe with these guys. However, Kelvin Joseph, every camp, you just see him playing a little bit better, a little bit more, which is exciting. Spoon, from camp today, what's some of the things that you liked right now? Or what you like today, I should say?
Well, here's the thing, y'all. We had a great NFL draft weekend. Right? And I recall we went with the previews of the players that were picked, but there was one thing that was said that nobody has said. I've heard anybody say, not the networks, not anybody bloggers, no disrespect, but something that was said here. Something that was only said here. BJ, P.O., who was the best free agent acquisition?
Mr. Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. That's only been said here. So I want to put it to the light.
Mm-hmm.
Fellas, we're seeing the things that we, like P.O. just said, the things that we wanted to hear. We're seeing attitude. We're seeing the coaches change. Matter of fact, some people, some was not high on Kelvin Joseph, and it was, there's some positive reasons why, that stuff. Mm-hmm. But as we let it play out, we seen something in him, and why we all felt that it was a steal in the second round, that he could have been a first-round pick if it wasn't not for the issues he had at LSU. I want to read something. Kelvin Joseph on the play of the Cowboys DBs today with 3 intros. He says, "We're going to fly around. No fly zone. We're going to call it airplane mode." And y'all drop this interview, tell them, Cowboys defense, Kelvin Joseph says airplane mode. You can't throw. No fly zone. Understand, y'all. Check your cell phones out right now. If you got an iPhone, I would direct you. He's playing the NFL right there. Don't throw that football because they're going to attack that ball. We've already had 40 burgers already. Now we got no fly zone on the defense? Huh. Listen.
Yeah,
nobody can tell me. Hey,
right.
I love the spunk. I love the spunk, though. I
mean, we had another rookie, right? We had another rookie by the name of Tucker coming here with the hot boy moniker and stuff like that.
Right.
The pads haven't came on yet.
I just love the attitude.
I'll be the old crickety guy in the corner over here, and it's cool. And the airplane mode, all that, that's fine. And I hope it comes to fruition, right? I mean, obviously, but let's just get there a little bit further, right? A little bit closer. Let's see some things, come through and happen. Let me see the pads tomorrow. Let me see how they look when the pads come on, But it's cool. I mean, look, they're excited. It's a young group of guys, right? You want to take nothing away from them, but the airplane mode. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know if it's time for a branded T-shirt or anything for that just quite yet. I'm gonna just ease up on that a little bit. But what I will say, do what now?
No, but the reality is, man, I just love the attitude. It's something, and that's part of the culture change. When you have, these guys are gonna work fully. They're gonna go all out, give it 110%. And this is what we need to become a better team all around. And you can see that culture. That culture has definitely changed.
Yeah. Also, something else happened in practice. Man, now we've seen people slip and slide a little bit during training camp so far. A little nerve-wracking. My goodness, Michael Gallup going over the fence, flipping over the fence. Man, I tell you, the way he landed with his feet, boy, lucky. I mean, for me, I'm like, man, did he blow a knee? Was he going to blow a knee? And let me if I get here and real quick. I know, Matt, you got a couple of these clips here, so I'll go ahead and run them real quick. Yeah, right now.
You ready?
My goodness. Yeah, go right ahead and run this for Michael Gallup if y'all didn't see it yet. Right here. Eee! Ow! My goodness. Oh, look at that one more time. Oh, sheesh. All right. Get that. Man, I tell you, with them knees fold back underneath him when he gets over, well, I was pretty daggum scary about that. I'm not going to lie. But again, today, man, just a defense in general. Look, KZ, there's been some word about KZ, right? They got Hooker in. Now he flashes with the interception. I mean, we were talking about him running with the twos, not the ones, right? Kersel's running a little bit more with the ones. We saw that kind of elevate some today. On the same token, as my guy Jock's got a question here, or excuse me, Connor Williams looks like our backup. So that's what they're trying to do. We'll kind of touch on this in a minute, Jock, because that's definitely what they're doing with him currently. Back to what we're seeing there, though, with the competition, that secondary with KZ coming around and jumping. That's what we've always kind of talked about here, right? We always talked about, hey, the more we can get in here, get that competition, right? It's the iron versus iron. It sharpens, it does better. And soon as Hooker just walks on the field, now you see KZ flashing all of a sudden. We see the best, look, and he's been in-house already. They kind of know this because we had an off day before. They knew in-house he was getting signed. And you all of a sudden you see the best day of the defense as they're adding another piece to that. Meadow, what's the next video you got posted up here for us? You got that KZ for us?
Yeah, I have KZ right now since we're talking about that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and flash that KZ video real quick for everybody if y'all didn't see this. I know it's going to be hard, Cowboysation. It's a safety cutting somebody off and taking it to the house.
All right, so KZ's number 35. It's going to be pretty obvious. We'll play this one twice so you can see it too. But watch this. He actually reads the route and jumps it. I mean, we haven't seen that in safeties for a long time in Cowboys. Right there in the middle of the screen.
Give me that. Give me that.
Yeah.
35 again. You can look at number 35 right there in the middle, y'all. Wait for it. Look, sees it. Boom. Woo. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. Makes me smile on the inside, guys. Makes me smile on the inside. You're right, Jeremy. Jumped that route. Saw it, read it, deciphered it, went after it. One of the dig picks, right? He came off his guy, flew back, got the interception, but it wasn't his guys. It's like those things that you're seeing from the secondary, which goes back to what you were talking about, Spoonie, Dan Quinn, the Joe Witts. They're teaching these guys up. You know, they've had the mini camps, they had the OTAs, we've had a couple practices. Now we're starting to see them gel, starting to see some things happen. I know, Matt, you're still banging on the KZ to the Pro Bowl train.
I am. I'm not giving up on that. I feel, I'm not going to lie, the Hooker signing makes me a little bit hesitant on that, but I've already said it, so let's go with it. I still feel good about it. I don't know how the safety rotation is going to work out, but yeah, I mean, when you see plays like that with KZ, you're like, that's the dude that had 10 interceptions in 2 seasons in Atlanta. That's right. The guy that played for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt. They brought him in for a reason. He's undersized compared to what the typical Dan Quinn mold is, but they like him for that reason. He's a former cornerback converted to safety, and a lot of fans cringe when we say that, but this guy's already done it in the NFL. It's not like he's a new project. We're not making him a free safety this year. He's been that guy. Right. So that's what I like about him. Now, there's obviously things that you don't like about him because obviously he would not have been let go in Atlanta. They would have brought him back or signed him to a long-term extension, or we would have had to compete for other teams for him. But you see plays like that and you're like, he read that like a book the entire way. He saw the route. He jumped about 10 yards from where he started to where the ball was thrown and took it to the house. And that's what I like. I mean, I'm a turnover is everything guy.
Yes.
So and I'm sticking to it. I don't care. Can't change my mind.
You know, and something you mentioned there, Maddo, that's pretty intriguing because, as you said before, right, because he's played some corner. Boy, I mean, if you get into a nickel situation, maybe you have Hooker back there, free safety. Maybe KZ size it to the slot. Just saying. It gives them some flexibility with some things to do there. Now, Spoonie, You just saw a safety read something and pick it up and take it to the house. Going into our third season, I know that warms your heart.
Oh, listen, every time I hear the word Kazi, especially say on this show, I'm going to always point out to Mendoza and give him credit. And I already told Mendoza, if he makes the Pro Bowl, he's getting a Kazi Pro Bowl jersey. No doubt about that, 100%. Because I remember when we was talking about free agency for the following season, Mendoza kept on saying, Kazi, watch for Kazi. And when you seeing that, it's a great feeling. And for those of you who don't know Joe Witt is one of the guys really responsible for guys like Charles Woodson who converted from corner to safety in Green Bay. I remember we had tweeted Charles Woodson about Joe Witt, and he goes, "Trust me, you guys get him. It's definitely gonna make your secondary better." And we're seeing right now, as P.O. just said, Kazi is a former cornerback converted to safety, and like BJ just came out and said, when you go to your nickel, he's that good to however you want to put him at nickel. So I'm excited. Turnovers is key for this defense, especially with an offense that we know is top 5. I'm just loving it. I'm loving everything I'm seeing so far. Even though it's practice. It's practice. But it's feeling. We haven't seen this even in practice a long time.
Right. And everyone's ready to see the candidate joint. You got that queued up for us, man?
It's ready to go. Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and hold on for a second. Boom, share. Oh, come on now. Boom, there you go. Go right ahead.
Is it on the screen?
Yeah, you're ready.
Okay. I don't see it on the. There we go. Okay. So Kennedy's number 31. I know it's preseason training camp time, so a lot of new numbers and people are getting used to things. So he's number 31. You'll see him lined up against Cedric Wilson. And this is probably one of the most impressive interceptions of the day. So let's go ahead and cue it up.
Read. Oh, yeah. Snatch and grab. In his lane, reads it, extends, boom. One more time. I got to see it one more time, man. I got a lot. I'm
going to try to get pause at the perfect moment. We'll see if we can get it.
Oh.
Just to slightly missed it. Let's try one more time.
Yeah.
Because that late was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Just to miss it. You get it, though. You get the point.
Yeah, it's right there. My goodness. Yeah, I mean.
That's pretty.
Yeah, great play. Great play by Candidate. And, I'm still not sold on the corners yet all the way because we got some rookies going to see some things play out. But the one thing we can say with KZ stepping up today, seeing Hooker, and Hooker finally makes me feel good about the depth back there. Eric Lush is going to come in here, be the starter, or anything like that. Like, it just makes me feel, when you start talking about our top 4 being Wilson, KZ, Curse, and Hooker, I feel much better from that standpoint of those guys. And also, too, a little bit better because we know Casey's been hurt before. Now, I know Hooker has some of those issues when it comes to injuries, right? But, if we can take the sum of 2 and make 1, you feel pretty good, right? And when it comes to Hooker, the last time he was healthy, right, he had a great season. I think he ended up with 5 interceptions and played pretty well. So, again, one of those things that's nice to see them paying attention and doing that and give the coaches credit. I had a tweet and I said, I don't know if they just didn't like the depth or they didn't like what they were seeing per se at safety. And they were proactive. Unlike last year, right? We kind of got to a point and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like, all right, man, forget it. And how Clinton Dix was gone and there wasn't really nothing there to help balance it. And they didn't wait till it got to that point to this round. They're like, all right, guys, we need to add something else back there. Hooker was available, and they went out there and did that. So I'm very happy to see the coaching in the front office, the coaching staff in the front office to go be proactive and go get this guy and add him to the mix. If nothing else, for the depth and competition moving forward for the rest of camp. Now we'll see what happens at corner still. But with that being said, I'm with you. As you said earlier, Matt Owen, I'm good at safety for this year. You want to add something else? I'm good at safety. I can sleep well at night. Moving forward where we're at, barring everybody stays healthy and whatnot. I do want to touch on this on the defensive line point, and something that hasn't really been brought up. And, I kind of talked about this with a couple of different people that I thought they had a plan for Watkins. I know Watkins was kind of the guy out the gate that, he's just a camp buddy, he's going to be here. I think they have a plan for Watkins because for the most part in these camps, it's been Watkins and Neville Gallimore starting at defensive tackle, guys.
Right.
And I don't think that's getting talked about enough. I mean, once here, okay, maybe twice, okay. Man, every day, it's those 2 starting there, guys. Now, for Neville Gallimore, right, we're looking to see big things in year 2 from him, like we're talking about Diggs. I mean, he won the workout, the player with the workout, best workout offseason award, stuff like that. We had the different things where he had to interview and he's talking about, hey, I'm not thinking about just now. I'm talking about I'm trying to be great moving forward. Things that you'd like to hear from those players going into their second year. But the Watkins, though, and we heard the coach talk about the Watkins a little bit. Maybe he can play some 5-tech, some different things. So, Spoonie, we're hearing Watkins and Neville Gallimore out the gate through these first 4 practices. What do you think?
Oh, listen, I'm loving it. Again, we had spoke before about guys like Tyreek Hill may lose their job. And the one thing we have said that once guys like Watkins was signed last this offseason, that he's definitely was going to be involved in anything they do in that line. Especially Neville Gallimore, who was drafted last year. Neville Gallimore came up playing pretty solid towards the end of the season. So I'm loving it. At the same time, it's like I always keep preaching when a new defensive coordinator or new coach comes in, they want their guys to come in, and the one you're seeing is that you're seeing that length, that height, the arm length to reach over. It's not easy to sack quarterbacks the way it is because quarterbacks get rid of the ball so fast. But when you're reaching, when your hands are up in the air, that can distract the quarterback from where he went with that ball to. So that's what's very important right now. So I'm loving it. And listen, Watkins, I loved him out of Clemson. I really loved him out of Clemson. In Houston, they play at 3-4. When you're in that 3-4, you're not gonna get a lot of love unless you're J.J. Watt. But with this 4-man rotation, I really feel on some one-on-ones, you're definitely gonna see why they got him and it's a good steal.
Okay. Integrated. Look, the pads aren't on, right? Once the pads come on, things definitely can change up. But out of the gate with Watkins playing so much early, Matt O, do you think this is an experimental phase for them, or do you think this is something they're actually looking at moving forward? How do you feel when you hear about Watkins, being that starter so far in camp, running with the one so much?
No, that's the golden question. If I wish I knew the answer. We do know that they've been experimenting with a lot. So first practice, we saw Jalen as the starting. I don't remember if he started. I think he's starting Mike actually.
Yes.
And then the second practice, he was going with the second team. Again, KZ was with the start. It was the starting safety, and then he went with the second team. They switched Kirsten. We've seen actually today, as a matter of fact, I was going to bring it up earlier, but Donovan Wilson played several snaps at free safety, not strong safety, which is interesting. So it just shows that they're trying to find position flex, trying to test the waters, see who can play where and how much they can play before you start getting in that danger zone. I do like what Spoonie said when he mentioned playing with J.J. Watt, because it's interesting. If you watch Carlos Watkins, what he does well, he does one thing really well that J.J. Watt is good for, and it's not the sacks, unfortunately. It's getting his arms up and knocking the ball down. He actually had quite a few deflected passes at the line of scrimmage, which we don't see a lot as Cowboys,
right,
from the Cowboys. And that's something that when you're talking about turnover margin, getting those takeaways, deflect the ball, let that ball bounce in the air and let a guy like Keanu Neal, Donovan Wilson, Micah Parsons,
right,
whoever, scoop underneath it, grab that, and then that's a pick six or big play waiting to happen. We don't get a lot of those. Tyron Crawford every once in a while would get one. Tank gets a few, but we don't really have a ton of guys that had that link historically, but now that's kind of the mold we're going to. So that's what I'm excited about with Carlos Watkins. I don't think he'll start game one, but at the same time, to be completely fair, most people thought Brent Urban was going to be our starting defensive tackle at the one tech, and he's been going with the third string so far.
right.
Again, it's early. There's no pads on, so don't really worry too much about that right now. And that's kind of the recurring trend we're going to say with training camp is if you see a guy go from starter to second string for a practice, not a big deal. If it happens for 2 or 3 practices, back pocket it. If it happens for a week straight, something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So once the pads come on, we'll get a better feel for what that defensive line rotation is going to be like. But you can lock it in now. Neville Gallimore is your 3 tech. If you had any questions before, that's answered. Like the word from Dan Quinn and the word from the Cowboys staff is how phenomenal he looks, and it's exciting. So I'm very excited about that position. One tech, we have a long way to go, a lot to flesh out. I do like what we've heard about Bohanna so far. And again, a guy like Bohanna, Urban, and Carlos Watkins really earn their keep when the pads come on. So we'll have a better feel for what that looks like tomorrow. But so far, I'm not buying too much into it, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, and back to your point about the batted balls, I think they had 4 or 5 batted passes today as well. Also
Right.
talking about a little bit of difference of what they're doing. The Urban thing's intriguing because he's not getting the burns yet. The big word that I heard, and I believe it was Rob Phillips and Mickey Spagnuolo talked about a little bit when it came to Bohanna is they say he's 330, but talked about his athletic and his footwork and stuff. And says he moves like a tight end, which is exciting. But again, we got to wait and see what the pads, come on. Right now, it's great to look. It's great to talk and see what happens. We got to see when the pads come on and how these guys perform. But yeah, you're if we had to put our hat outside of Dak we're talking about this defensively, if we're going to put our hat on anything, Matt, you're absolutely right. Neville Gilmore is your day one number 3 tech, your 3 tech and defensive tackle. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, I see a lot of guys talking about Tristan Hill in the group today and different things, whatever. Now, he's working out. He was working out just like D-Law, running hard, different things with D-Law, doing everything. Obviously, they're giving him as much time as possible to come back from his injury. And the great thing about having Hill on the pup and doing that workout over there with Lawrence is if we do suffer an injury defensive tackle, which we know eventually, we don't want it to happen, you instantly can insert Hill into that and you give him the best opportunity to be the best without him trying to play uphill with an injury right now. You get an opportunity to come in if someone hurts and moves forward. So, yeah, man, I'm very – as much as we look at these linebackers, the interior of this line and how the rotation works is going to be key to what we do when it comes to stopping the run, getting these batted passes, and turnovers over everything. That's our motto over here for sure.
Yes,
turnovers over everything. I'll tell you what, though. We do have one more video, guys. We're going to tune up. We're going to go ahead and tune up that the Diggs interception real quick. Let's go ahead and get that one up for the folks because we did promise them at least one more interception from camp today. So whenever you're ready, Maddo.
So I'm actually going to show both, but first we're going to start with the more impressive of the two. Honestly, they're both impressive, but this is the one where you're going to see Diggs on the right side of the screen as soon as the play starts. He's not in coverage. I believe they're throwing to Cedric Wilson here, but we'll see when the play starts. But he comes off to make the pick, which is more impressive. So look at before we even start, look at him right now on the feed if you can. His eyes are on the quarterback, and I'm pretty sure this is Ben DiNucci throwing the ball. But look at Diggs' eyes before we even start, and then watch as the play progresses.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Come back, boom, give me that.
Not a great throw, obviously, but great play by him.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And of course, and that's one of the key things, right?
Coverage, by the way, if you're curious who that was number 25, Stephen Parker. That may throw fans off through training camp. 35 is KZ, 25 Stephen Parker.
Right, and that's what you want to see, within this defense and different things with the concepts that Dan Quinn runs is, and you saw Richard Sherman do this a lot up in Seattle, right? Come off his guy on someone behind him and get an interception and different things of that ilk. So, those are one of the key things as Spoon was talking about, right? Dan Quinn doing what? Being that guy that we need to come in here and help this defense get around, And let's go ahead and cue up the last interception real quick from Diggs.
Okay, so you're not even going to see Diggs on the play right now when the play starts, but you'll see him quickly. All right, so before we show this a second time, pay attention to number 94, Randy Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory
Tony Pollard. So there's actually two things you need to watch in this play. I don't care what order you watch. We'll play this one probably 3 or 4 times because there's 2 things of note. Randy Gregory does a hell of a job for a defensive end / Sam, whatever he's playing, taking Pollard, who's a pretty shifty back, in coverage. So watch that. That'll be right at the pylon, so you'll notice that. And then Diggs gets his hand on the ball. It's kind of tough to see because Dak is probably looking at Pollard originally and then sees that he's relatively well covered by Gregory and then goes off to Noah Brown. At this point, Diggs reaches his hand back, tips the ball to himself, and gets the interception. So we'll play it a few times so you guys can see that.
Tip it, boom, get it. Yeah. I mean, all this is possible. And these are the things that don't show up in the stat sheet here. This play is made possible by Randy Gregory doing his job, taking Pollard away, taking that first read away, forcing Dak to somewhere else, and then he gets opportunity there. Diggs does to make the play, and he does. So, we talk about, at times we talk about different players on the show that doesn't show things that don't show up in the stat sheet. That's one of those things. What Gregory did there, as Madeline specifically pointed out, was force stack off that number one read. Diggs stays with his guy, stays with it, makes the play. And that's, just again, man, just guys being at the right place, doing your job, not playing hero ball, not overextending themselves is what you really like to see in plays like that and the things that this defense has done so far. Yeah. Spoony.
The intangibles are right there. They're showing it, That's my favorite word. It's a word that is not in the stat sheet. And when you see plays like that, you recognize the little things that guys do that don't show up in the stat sheet that basically makes a big play for everyone is able to make a big play on it. And that right there is a turnover. That is a turnover right there. The leaders either they're going to score the point or our offense take over in the short field right there. And that's what's important about it. It's the little things they do. And like P.O. was just saying, we saw Randy Gregory do what? He basically baited Dak right there. He turned around. He saw Pollard coming. He watched him. And mind you, that Dak had nowhere to go. He had nowhere to go in that play. So again, this should make. I know it's practice. BJ said it. Tomorrow's padded practice, but it's the things like this that we have not seen in a long time, and this should make you feel good about it. I'm loving it from this team.
Yeah, and I saw people online talk about Gregory and coverage, and a few people said, "Well, he ultimately was beaten by Pollard." I'm like, yes, but he covered him well enough that Dak's original look has to go off of that. And because if you think about it, the average pass, like the average time to throw for Dak last year was, before he was injured, I believe was like 2.6 seconds. So if you think about from the time you get a snap, on an average route, you have 3 or 4 receivers, maybe 5 at the most, depending on what the play combination's like. You don't have a lot of time to look onto a receiver. So especially in a play action, when you're showing like a motion, pre-snap, jet sweep type of look,
right.
You have to worry about the play action, look off the safety, look off the linebacker, and then go to your read. You don't have a lot of time. So he's going to look. If it's covered, he's going somewhere else. Gregory covering him as well as he did completely took what would have been an easy Pollard touchdown most of the time when you have a defensive end versus Pollard into its turnover. And that's key. If you can get 1 or 2 plays like that a year from a defensive end or a position you're not expecting, you're not always relying on the safety or cornerback to jump a route or beat a receiver to a throw or a linebacker reading something or catching a deflection. Anytime you can generate organic turnovers that should not happen based on one player just doing their job, that's clutch. I mean, on that play, you have 11 players out there. Literally, Randy Gregory covering Pollard as long as he did made the difference in the play. It's a touchdown otherwise.
Yeah, big facts. And again, you nailed all the nails with the hammer. I mean, just exciting to see those things early on in camp and Dan Quinn really teaching the bat of the balls, the little things that make the difference between, a completed pass into a turnover. It's exciting. Again, tomorrow can tell a different completely story when these pads come on, and we know
real
that.
Quick, last year, who was dropping back in coverage? Dorrance Armstrong.
Dorrance
Let me know in the chat. Does Dorrance Armstrong make that play? Does he cover Tony Pollard in the flat?
No.
Matter of fact, I mean,
it's about putting people who can make the play in the right position. Again, I don't care where you play. I don't care whatsoever if Donovan Wilson is a free safety, strong safety, defensive tackle. I don't care. As long as they ultimately make the play, that's what matters. And so far, it's early. Offense is getting some blows on the defense. Defense is getting some blows on the offense. There's no pads on, but we're seeing things from both sides that, like, yesterday, last practice, Dak was 20 of 28 passing.
Right.
And I saw Todd Archer put a stat. He's like 52 of 75 or something like that so far in training camp in team-on-team scrimmage. So Dak's doing his thing. Today he threw some turnovers. He threw some interceptions, which were turnovers, obviously. And Dak's kind of his motto, and a lot of quarterbacks in training camp is, let me test things. Let me see if I can fit this ball in now. Let me get it out of my system in practice. Let me see what my limitations are, where I'm at, where I need to progress the rest of training camp so I'm ready day one. So, again, when you see days like that, don't worry about it. Zach Wilson, his first practice at OTAs, had 12 interceptions. Yeah. 12. And, again, people have high expectations for him, and that doesn't mean he'll be a bust. It's just young guys trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't. That's all it is.
And that's the great thing about Dan Quinn is, man, just look, it shouldn't be, hard, but put guys in the right position, right? I mean, we've heard it from LV. They're putting back at will. He's like, yeah, put me back where I need to be, and different things like that, and put him in a place to succeed, like you talked about. And if you're able to get that part out the way, then you can let them go play fast. Simplify a couple things, let them go play fast, and then we get to the turnovers. Spoonie, we get over and get to eating real quick. You heard me?
Yeah, but you know, I love what. See, here's a key point. What Matt had just said a few minutes ago, that people are not looking at. It's not besides the intangibles. It's the plays that you should not be making. And he made up a good point saying that Dak Prescott, he's going to take a chance. I want to see if I can fit it. So when you got reporters putting out the stats and numbers, that could alarm somebody. Oh, my God, 3 interceptions. No, it's not about that. It's about what Matt just came out and said. He just saw the interceptions. Those are plays that were made by players who did special things. It was not supposed to be there. But Diggs did. When Diggs went one way and turned around and got the interception, how many cornerbacks do that? Not a lot. And BJ just came out and said it. Those are the things that Quinn taught Richard Sherman how to do. And that's why he became an All-Pro, Pro Bowl player. So when you see things like that, don't just look at the quarterback. Look at what the plays are doing. Those are special. Those are very good plays that these guys are doing. Not everybody's going to make. This is why I feel so good about what we've seen, even though it's not a game, even though it's not padded practice. But my God, we haven't seen this at all. So I could imagine as the practice goes on until the season starts, they're going to be even better.
Right.
Even better than what we see today.
Right. And of course, as we talked about, Dak went, last practice 20 or 28. Flinging around, we're seeing touchdown catches and everywhere. Defense said, no, not so fast. We're in our bag today. And we're not going to let the same things happen and competing, right? And doing those things. So those things really, get you excited to see the defense competing at that level. I'm still Neil getting to run with some ones now as well at the linebacker position today somewhat. The line, as I've said before, watching linebacker to me is the most intriguing. Parsons doing some A-gap blitzes today. So we've kind of seen him right off the edge some. We've seen him drop back in a deep third. Now we're seeing A-gap blitzes. And, of course, that gets me excited as well, too. I'm right there with you. I'm super. It's the honeymoon season. I'm excited. But the fact that they're continuously finding ways to go use Micah Parsons. And D-Town, I got your question over there. We'll get to that here in a minute, man. I see you. Professor, you got a video for us?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on doing this one, but people seem to enjoy the videos, and I know everybody has work and things to do, so maybe you had a chance to miss it. Nick's just mentioned Parsons and the A-gap blitz, so you have it right here in front of you. Is it on the screen where they can see it?
Yeah, you're ready.
Okay, pay attention real quick to who's standing right next to Parsons is Dan Quinn, right there in the middle of the action. But we'll show this one a couple times so you can see how quick he is.
Boom. Yeah, so I mean, again, they're just continuously finding ways, to use the kid, and find out what he's good at, what it's not. Because hey, no matter what you saw from college and everything, until you get here and get your hands on him, Dan Quinn doesn't know what he's going to do, where he's going to be best suited at. So he's just throwing everything at him and seeing what he can do, what he can't do, find the limitations, so he can put him in the best place to help this team and be an impact player. But Sweet, I heard you over there, Spoon. Seeing him blitz in that A-gas mode. Make you feel some type of way.
Listen. It's been. Let me tell you something. When you have a player, and again, we spoke about Michael Parsons. We was never against him. We was just against the things that we were hearing. But when he got drafted and when everything, as far as the off the field, whatever, everything checked out right, we was all excited because we know what we get in this type of player, and he's an impact player. Listen, the last guy who wore number 11 in Penn State, the name of LeVar Arrington, was one of my favorite players. I hate he went to Washington, but this guy here, I think will be 3 times better than what LeVar was coming in. Even though they're a little bit different, but Michael Parsons right now is going to be so incredible in how they utilize him. And, it's just like the play, I believe it was day before yesterday when he was running stride for stride with CeeDee Lamb. It's things like that that's standing out. They're like, wow, this guy is a freak. He's a freak.
Right.
know,
And,
so
and I'll backdoor here. Let me back up real quick. Little off kilter, but D-Town with it said, what are your guys' thoughts on Parsons when we drafted him, and your thoughts on him today? Any changes? And of course, at the time leading up to the draft, for me, I was like, I don't know how he can handle the bright lights here in Dallas. That's where I was. That's how I felt. Now, at the time when we were drafting, it's like, well, 10's out the way. And I even kind of brought up in shows leading up to the draft. I was like, maybe they're only talking about Parsons to Dallas at 10. Interesting concept, but whatever, Then we get to the draft. The cornerbacks are gone. We trade back to 12. We get Parsons. And I'm like, as long as he can handle business, that's fine. You can't argue with the front office. And my standpoint then was, you can't argue with the front office for trading back 2 spots, picking up an extra third, and getting arguably the best defensive player in the draft, albeit, everyone wanted to kind of call him my off-ball linebacker. So that's where my thoughts were that night. The more and more I heard him talk, I'm like, I think the kid gets it. And now let's see what he can do on the field. I didn't want him to come in here and just, all right, you're going to be this linebacker. And that's what I love about Dan Quinn so far when it comes to Parsons is, okay, this kid can do a lot. The 4.39 speed is real, as he was a running back coming into college, from high school. And we're seeing that speed translate already. And we're seeing Dan Quinn not just going to say, well, you're just going to be sitting here, at middle linebacker or the weak side, and that's all you're going to do. He's moving him around. So that's the things that really excite me about that. Your thoughts of draft night till now on Parsons, Matt Owen?
All right, so if you watch, we did tons of mock drafts. It was really, we had a fun offseason. Chatted about our free agency plans and did tons of mock drafts. I said multiple times, he's the best defensive player in the draft. I took him off the Cowboys board.
Right.
Because I thought based on some of the stuff that happened, there was just too many red flags. We weren't going to take a chance. And then I also was looking at it as, I don't know how we're going to use him if we're looking at him as a true Mike middle linebacker and he's just going to stand there and, sideline pursuit. You can get guys like that in the second or third round. I don't want to spend a first-round pick on him. But once we drafted him and they kind of revealed the plans, he's going to be a Sam. He's going to be a Will. He's going to be a Mike. He's going to be a defensive end in nickel packages. He's going to be all over the place. I was bought in. So my to answer the question roundabout, I was off pre-draft. After the draft, I still wasn't excited. And then now that the plans they've peeled back those layers for me, I'm on board 100%. No
doubt. We got a guy chiming in from the Twitter feed says, what do you guys think of Kentucky's boss man fat, aka Kelvin Joseph and Bohanna? Matto, I'll let you take Bohanna. And no, actually, I'm gonna let you take pick which one you want, split against the other one. Who you want? You want boss man, you want Bohanna?
I'm gonna go with Boss Man because me and him are best friends.
Yeah, I was gonna say, y'all
retweeted me like twice, so we're pretty much best friends. Pretty sure I'm invited to the picnic, so the cookout, whatever. So yeah, Boss Man, he's the guy that our fans have to give a little bit of grace and understand. He's a young guy. He didn't play a ton of college football. He's going to show you games where you're like, this guy's it. He's gonna be a future Hall of Famer, and then he's gonna have games where you're like, that was a dumb penalty. He didn't look like he was fully invested. Don't know what he was thinking there. That's a coverage lapse, and that's just what you're going to get with a young guy. He's green. He has some maturity issues, and he's having to kind of navigating the waters. Like we're basically 1 week in training camp, and he's already coining new nicknames and doing that, and that maybe overstepping a little bit, but at the same time, I like it. I like the bravado, and I like that he's trying to be a leader. Maybe he doesn't know quite the way to do it, but he's taking some steps and showing like, I don't mind. He actually did an interview with Kavanaugh on 105.3 last week. So if you guys want to check it out on YouTube, go check it out. I think you get a better feel for who he really is as a person, because I think a lot of the perception of him doesn't really match up. And I'm hoping that Hard Knocks does a good job of painting that picture for you guys so you can see he's a good dude. He raps and does stuff like that, but he's not a big character risk like people perceive him as.
Right.
So I'm excited about him. And then in terms of just football, what we've seen so far, he's a little bit grabby, but we knew that from his film. But he's doing some things that young guys typically don't do. Like, for instance, there was a fade. I believe it was correct. It wasn't Malik Turner. I think it was Osiris Mitchell. I'm pretty sure is who it was. Yeah, number 14. Yeah. And they threw a fade to him, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He rode him out of bounds and used the sideline to his advantage, which a lot of young players don't do. They kind of panic and say, like, the ball's in the air, we're in the end zone, I got to knock the ball down no matter what the cost. And they get a turnover, and then as we know, that's first and goal on the 1. That's the worst thing you can do in that situation aside from getting beat. Yeah. There's 2 bad things you can do is give up the touchdown, and get a defensive pass interference in the end zone. And he did a good job of playing it, with a little bit of savviness. I don't know if that's Joe Witt or Al Harris working with him, or the duo, or if it's guys like Lewis and Diggs sharing their knowledge. But either way, what we've seen so far is promising. He hasn't had like the big signature pick six moment yet in camp, but what we've seen is he's been steady. He hasn't been beaten. He hasn't been abused. He very much looks the part of an NFL player early in his career. So that's promising. So that's where I'm at with him so far. I'm not anointing him. I'm just saying he's shown enough to be excited and nothing that I'm worried about yet.
Yeah, I think to me, I'm with you there. I think it seems like every camp he seems to get better. Every practice, he just seems to get better. That's what you want to see, right? From number 44 overall pick. I mean, just every camp. Like I said, he's had some moments. He hasn't had that big, like you said, signature moment, but he's not like, oh my God, we have a problem. This guy's, I don't know what we did. We got to figure something out. No, he just seems to slowly and steady making that climb and getting it. And you can't be mad at that. Spoonie, Big Bohanna. What you think about him?
Listen, man. Well, that's your guy, BJ. BJ was very excited about him when we drafted him.
Big fan of the draft. I love him.
Yeah. Listen, what was the one of the worst that we dealt with last season? 100 yards, the running game, right? I believe out of the 17 game season, 14 was 100 yards. That was the one thing that was killing us through the whole time. So what does Bahama bring to the table? Somebody who's big, stout, it's a big body. And what I love about it is that during his interview process, he talked about him getting dirty. He understands that he has to do the dirty work, take up double teams, do the little things in order for the plays behind him to make play. He's that three technique guy that we've been screaming for the past 2 years. Now, my thing is that, he's on the field. There was talks about him and Brent Urban having a battle. But at the same time, he's learning from Brent Urban. We know Urban's very respectful around the league, playing with Chicago. We know Chicago's defense has been tops while he was over there with them boys. But I'll tell you this right now. I think Bohanna is going to be one of those dudes who shines very early for the things, for the plays that's going to be around him. But they're going to show is because of what Bohanna is doing up front. And that's why I can't wait to see with him.
No doubt. Keep them linebackers clean, let them run and go make them plays. I'm with you. Now, with that being said, we see a lot of people ask us about the tight ends, which one of the few bright points of the offense today, ladies and gentlemen, Blake Jarwin was back in the building. Shout out to Jaws gang. Got him a nice catch there towards the end for a touchdown from Dak. It's been interesting because so far Schultz has been one, right? And we're waiting to see if Jaws is going to come back around and do those things. Excuse me, I got a sore throat and my coffee's ran out, so it's going to get a little cracky here towards the end. But excited, like I said, defense shine today. One of the bright moments, though, for sure, was Jaws getting that pick, getting that touchdown catch there towards the end. Matt O, tight end situation, how you viewing this so far?
Yeah, so it's really tough to evaluate right now, and this one is not necessarily because the pads are not on. This one is because Jarwin's a little bit on a snap count right now. They're not fully putting him in, so we don't really have that true. Like, we're seeing a ton of Schultz, but it's more volume based. It's not necessarily. And Schultz he's capitalizing. Schultz actually was quite a few of the YouTubers who were at camp. I know West Coast, Big Game James, and a few other people said he was the player of the day on Saturday or Sunday, whatever the last practice was before today. So Schultz is definitely taking advantage of that and capitalizing. If I had to guess, I would say he definitely has the lead and edge at tight end one. But Jarwin's going to play. I mean, Jarwin today did what we saw him do last time we saw him healthy. They threw a receiver out to him. He was right in the middle of the field. He caught the ball and scored. It was kind of an easy one. It was about 20 yards out, so he didn't really have to make any plays after the catch or anything. But he looked good. Caught the ball, was smooth. And I know the first training camp, he and Dak kind of picked up right where they left off. But if I had to say right now, I'm pretty positive Schultz is going to be tight end one, or at least given every opportunity to be that. But that doesn't really mean much because Jarwin's going to play a ton too.
No doubt. And Spooner will pivot. So we can talk about little Zeke so far. Man, every practice, right? Zeke just seems to show more and more like, hey, get ready. Revenge season's on deck. What do you think about Zeke so far? Not just today. Also had a little moment today as well, showing some explosiveness off the screen with the jump cut and taking one to the house. And we kind of seen a little bit of that throughout. What do you think about Zeke and what he's been so far during camp?
Oh, well, I believe we all had came out and said that this year is Zeke's revenge. He's heard every media put him down, disrespectful, of course. There's a lot of different things they were saying, and knowing how competitive Zeke, we're talking about a running back in Ohio State who went over 200 yards rushing against one of the best defense of all time in college football, Alabama, right? And he's heard talks about him being compared to Saquon Barkley. He's the when you have a guy who's very competitive and you're hearing all those things, it's only going to drive him to correct the mistake, whatever it is, to get better. What did he do? He lost some weight. He went from 200 and almost 27 pounds last season. He's 218, right? He got a little bit more cut up, became more loose. He trained different. What did BJ said during the offseason? He goes, I wish he dedicated his body the way LeBron James did. But what did we see? He must have heard BJ, because he basically was on training mode, showing his body and flexing. And he said, well, that's fat. I want to be fat like that myself. So, Zeke is ready to have an explosive year. He's seen other running backs in the NFL getting praised after 1 or 2 good years, while he's been the most consistent running back since day one. Since day one, always have been in top 5. Now, not trying to go backwards with the year with him getting accused and all, but
you go ahead and run that up while he's talking. I got it up. Keep going.
Yeah, my whole thing with that is Zeke is ready. He's definitely ready. And you can see right there. Look at him. Very explosive. How he goes from one left side to the right side.
Look at that jump cut. Look at that jump cut. Run that back one more time. Yeah. Watch this jump cut. Pads or no pads right here. This jump cut.
Yeah. And people, there was people from the media that was talking about, maybe you should get rid of Zeke next year to save some cap money, like as if he's not worth the money. When you're competitive, you're gonna take all that in and you're gonna dish it out on the field. And I'm telling you guys right now, Zeke gonna have a very good year, in my opinion. Big time year.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. And man, to see him take care of his body the way he has and come back. The competitor team driving that stuff, super excited for him. But with that being said, we do have one more thing to touch on. Right before we were getting set up and whatnot, some news hit, little news. Xavier Howard went on here on the board and on Instagram, I should say, and has basically said and requested a trade. Now we're talking about the money situation. I'm gonna kind of cover this. It's funny. I know he signed a deal 2 years ago. He wants a new deal. As far as top paid cornerbacks for this year, Byron Jones is number 5, Xavier Howard 6. So there's that. That's the money. Just get that out the way. Now, I believe it was Todd Archer. I got to tell you that. Yeah, detail. That jump cut was nasty. I do know it. But now, and we're getting back to Xavier here. I believe it was Todd Archer said the Cowboys actually had some trade interest during the draft for Xavier Howard. I'll say this. If it happens, I tweeted it out. If this happens, I will be very unbearable for a while on social media. There's going to be a lot of people who will not be very happy with me if I finally, what I've begged for this front office to push all the chips into the middle of the table. And that would be that, to me, that would signify that kind of move. If they went and traded for Xavier Howard, it to me would be an all-in kind of move. I'm going to get very excited. I'm nice. I'm enjoying life. I'm in the honeymoon season. All of a sudden, I'm going to go to a different level if that happens. But there's certain factors there that I know it's not going to happen. But I Stephen Jones, for one, right? But on a scale of 1 to 10, guys, where do you put this trade possibly happening for the Cowboys? 1 being, terrible, 10, slam dunk. Matt, what do you think?
Okay, so I think right now this is a 1 out of 10, but week 3, 4, 5, if we struggle early, especially because we play some dynamic offenses early, with Tampa Bay and the Chargers on deck, if the defense gets somewhat exposed, I could see us making some considerations. And again, laying it out there, full transparency, his average contract right now, the average salary is $15 million a year. He's probably going to be wanting to be closer in that $20 million a year range. But he's coming off a season where he had 10 interceptions and 20 pass deflections, and his quarterback rating allowed was 48.3. I mean, that's literally all pro caliber. And the completion percentage was 51.5%. So dude's elite. Right now, it's a 1 out of 10. Week 5, if I had to guess, it's probably still going to be a 1 out of 10. I mean, things are going to feel really bad for me to think that Mr. Dollar General Stephen Jones, as we like to coin him, right, is gonna make that move. Yeah,
Dollar
exactly.
General Jones do it.
If we do, I'm all for it. I would absolutely love to see that, but we're gonna have to get scorched early for them to feel that pressure to do it. But maybe not, because I didn't think they were gonna make a move for Hooker this early on. I thought he'd be a guy that they'd have as a fallback plan. And here we are, July 27th, with him on the roster. So maybe tomorrow we make a move. But if I had to say it, 1 out of 10, final answer.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is kind of thing that's kind of circulating around, and the thought process is the Dolphins might not be able to get a lot of draft capital for him, just the way that the salary cap is structured, what his tag is. So it might be where they have to take something a little less than in other years what they might get for him. But we'll put a pin in that to be continued, and we'll figure that out later. Spoonie, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think of Xavier Howard? Dollar General Jones's Rome and Professor F called him, coined him, makes a deal, picks up the phone, and makes a trade.
Well, before I answer that, I always have accountability, and I go back and answer. Retract what I said before. I remember on the last show, it was asked about trade. Will we trade for him? And I was the odd man now, the odd out of the whole that said no, I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. But memory lane has taught me something. Mm-hmm. I recall he was on a trade room with Mick Fitzpatrick and called Jamal Adams, and me and BJ had a conversation for about maybe 3 or 4 hours that night. Some nice warm, cold one.
Shout that boy Bo.
Yeah, Bo. And he was going at it, and we felt it was that close. But at that time, it wasn't Stephen Jones' staff. I said a while back, this is his first staff, his staff. And I said earlier, the hashtag route is retired from safeties. But I never said I would never put him up for corner. So I'm going right here. Hashtag 25. I am jumping on the Xavier Howard train. I apologize. I made my mistake. Okay, you too. I'm on board.
Okay, 1 out of 10. But 1 out of 10. How likely
1 out
is
of
it
10? You
done?
know what? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling feisty. They both the safety and another. And Matt said it earlier. We have a solid depth at safety. Solid. But now that we got Dan Quinn in there, I'm going 9. I'm going 9. I am going 9. I'm going 9. I am going 9, fellas.
This was the energy I thought you were going to bring early when we talked about Hooker.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm going 9. I was trying to be cool.
I see it, man. Hey, I'm not hating on it.
Yeah.
So next, what about you? Where are you at? We have a 1 and a 9 so far. Are you in the middle? Are you going to split the difference? Not 3? Okay.
I'm going to go 3.
All right.
I'm going to go 3 is where I'm at. I think, look, we've plugged the holes, right? Corner is young. Corner is very young. And, and this is why, I was never really on the Richard Sherman train too much, was because to me, I thought he was a progress stopper. Right. Progress stopper. Oh yeah, we're up to 1 on that. With I'm keeping account every time that he says that this year as much as I can. We're up to 1 on that. But Xavier Howard wouldn't be a progress stopper, so it's a little bit different. That's something that comes in here, and we can really get after and go from there. But I just if there's a way to do it. Trade draft capital wise, they should do it. Again, the one thing I've waited for years is Stephen that all in moment. We're just going to push our chips in and we're going. And I'll stand 10 toes down on this. I've already said I think this offense is a Super Bowl ready offense. Can the defense come along for the ride? If you add Xavier Howard into this mix, I don't see how that hurts you. Now they got to get smart and maybe do some things with the cap. Maybe now you drop that little pin on Amari Cooper's contract and do some things right. But we'll have to wait and see. I thought it was very interesting though, because honestly, I didn't hear much anywhere about the Cowboys having any interest in Howard during the draft, but from a trusted source, like Archer, like I said earlier, that I saw that was like, missed that blip, and now here we are recircling it. But I kind of think, it maybe has to be the Amari Cooper situation. We like our guys, and a couple of weeks into it, but you can't sit here and wait around forever because somebody else will make the trade. This is a little bit different scenario. So, padded practice tomorrow.
Real quick before we move on from that, I just want to throw out there.
No, wait. I'm talking about
the Saints are in that still.
That's what I heard.
Team with no money at all.
No money at all. But apparently they're
We're
involved.
worried about cap space over here. They were 100 million over. They re-signed Ramczyk. They extended, or they franchised Lattimore, or whatever they did with him to bring him back, and now somehow they're involved in that too. So
they're involved. So I mean,
you guys let me know the math how that works.
The cap stuff. But what I was going to say was padded practice tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Maybe the quarters don't show up like they have been without the pads on. Once they get them on, and maybe they say, "Hey, maybe we need to pick up that phone and see what's going to cost to get Xavier on over here." So, yeah, it's intriguing times. It's something maybe add a little spice to the gumbo. Maybe they can go do that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about that a ton, like you said. The Saints are involved somehow, and you can look at these other teams that do all these things, but somehow we're always, we can't do it. We don't have any money, but
right.
Such is life here in Cowboy land. With that being said, man, we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Excuse my voice here towards the end. Like I said, a little bit of sore throat, and I ran out of my hot chocolate over here, so I'm dying slowly. Tomorrow, padded practice. We are going to be right back in this thing tomorrow night to cap the first padded practice show. Super hyped for that. Absolutely. Make sure that y'all hit up we're over 400 now. Trying to get to that 1,000 on YouTube. Stargame podcast on YouTube. Go hit that sub, that like button. Before we get out of here, last thing going on so far, Professor O, so far for camp, how you feeling? I'll give you your last word now, and Sven, I got you too.
How I'm feeling so far is optimistic. We've seen good things on defense, good things. The offense isn't skipping a beat. Defense, we're starting to see some people kind of settle in. We have Hooker in place, so we have some new additions kind of coming in. We haven't had any major injuries. We'll knock on wood. Everybody do that for me right now. We did have guys like Lewis miss practice today, but he was on the cords. And then we saw guys like Tank working on the cords, and Cooper was working on the cords. And if you're not sure what that means they're working with the trainers on the side. And when they're at the cord stage, it means they're progressing towards being on the field. So that's a good sign. So when you hear that, it means it could be a day out or a week out, but they're making progress. So far, so good. My last thought, though, before we move on is I hate this field at Oxnard. I do not want them to go back. Why is there a fence like 7 feet behind the end zone where my man Gallo could flip over it? Like, who designed this field? This is like JV high school field. It's not even like varsity high school field that they're playing on. And then there's like dry patches of dirt. Like, it looks like they're playing at like random high school, not like an NFL team. Like, I'm not happy with this field whatsoever. But so far, players look good, coaches look good. I'm happy so far. So
yeah, I mean, we missed a year out there. We didn't get to go out there last year. It's never really been that bad out there. But this year, man,
Washington's field for some reason right now. Like,
my goodness, yeah, they are slipping and sliding everywhere. We had that happen. It's like, well, you spent all this money, for the Star in Frisco. Why are we going out there anyways? I'm just saying. But I look, they like to get out there in Cali and do their things, right? Spoonie, so far for camp, last word before we get out of here, brother.
EAR. Embrace the Star, appreciate the Star, respect the Star.
Man, you know what? I don't think it can be said any better than that. We'll see y'all tomorrow night. Padded practice, see who's going to lay that wood and who's going to walk through that door. And the biggest thing with the first padded practice always makes me nervous. No injuries. I'm always nervous about the first padded practice for injuries. Let's get through it clean tomorrow, and let's see some guys step up and do some things. We'll see y'all tomorrow night. We appreciate y'all as always. Peace.